Hi, Kiki. Hey, guys. I just wanted to say hi. Happy Sunday, guys. You guys have been asking me about this since last week, since we were in court with Latasha um, Daniels. And so let's get into it. We're going to see how this goes because tomorrow is day 4. Now, Tuesday is a holiday, which I think is a court holiday too, I would imagine, right? So we're going to see. I have no idea. I know what's going on with this case. I'm not going to say I know it like the back of my hand, but I know what's going on. I know enough to be a little bit dangerous. But I have not been paying attention to the proceedings at all. So let's just get into it. Hi, Keonce. Hey, everybody. Hey, Jackson, Kiki, Shalon, Danny, what's going on? Bossy, hey boo, how are you? Honey, say that. Keontae, I just wanted to come on and say hi to everybody. I'm gonna go off because it takes bandwidth for me to be on camera and I don't really need to be. So um day 1 on Law and Crime is broken up. We might make it through day 1 because it's still a little bit early, but even if we just make it through this and then we'll do the rest of day 1 part 2 tomorrow morning, and we'll see how it goes. And we'll just see how it goes. I know this woman is a complete shit show. We know. So let's get into it. You guys know I love opening statements. Um, you're trying to get caught up. Well, guess what? And I went over to Court TV, and Court TV has like a daily synopsis. Girl, they have notes, and we're going to borrow the notes. Okay. We're going to borrow the notes. I'm not going to broadcast their notes. I mean, I don't know if that would be the right thing, but we definitely going to read them. Okay. We definitely going to read. It's published. We'll read the notes. They did they were so nice to leave us some notes. So we'll get into that. Okay. But let's just get into this video. We'll take it nice and easy. You guys know that every time we try to get caught up on a case, we always do. Let me see. Is court closed on Tuesday in Nevada? Let's see. That way we don't have to strain our brains. You know what I'm saying? Is the is court is Tuesday? It's Veterans Day, right? Is Court's got to be closed on Veterans Day in Nevada. Is Clark County closed? I'm just doing due diligence, guys. Is Clark County criminal courts closed Tuesday? Well, I guess I should have said Veterans Day. My bad. Yes, the criminal courts in Clark County, Nevada are closed Veterans Day, November 11th. Okay. We're going to be able just depending on how this goes, day 4. I'm assuming the prosecution is still moving right along. I feel confident we'll be able to get caught up. So, boom. Okay. If we're so inclined, not to mention, oh yeah, hey Vic. Vic is a Clark County girl. Okay, thank you, baby. Let's just get into it, okay? Let's get into it. We have the luxury of time. We have the luxury of claiming our time and even bumping up speed and all of that stuff. So let's see what we can do. Tomorrow's day 4. So any of you guys who are on track with the trial but want to, get caught up with us, we're just going to we're going to be putting it into cruise control, okay? And see if we can be caught up. But there's a whole extra day. There's the the gift of time difference and the gift of Tuesday's a day off, right? So anyway, okay, guys, they're getting ready to get into opening statements. They're reading some instructions to the jurors now. Does anybody want to hear that, or we're just going to jump straight to opening statements? This is all.
First of all, we'd like you to be as comfortable as possible while you're here. So if you have any trouble hearing or seeing at any time,
you can bring some water. If you need to hear somebody, let us know. You are good. Okay.
During this trial,
I got like 10 emails from like hey, have you heard? Are you gonna be can we talk about, and I appreciate that so much. I was like, you know what? Why not? Let's go ahead and get into it. Okay. Okay. All right, guys. Happy Sunday. I hope you guys had a great weekend. I did. Relaxing, all of the things. So comment down below. You guys talk and I'll be in the comments too. You know, I'm going to go on mute. And then when there's an opportunity to break in, I will. But considering we have the gift of time, I'm going to just try to take us all the way through the opening statements and these first couple of witnesses and try to make the most of our time. Okay. All right, let's get into it. Let me see. Let me turn off my camera. Okay.
Please raise your hand as an indication. Also, if you need to use the restroom,
all right, hold on a second. I'm advancing.
Anything else that may have anything to do with this case. This includes any reading of newspapers, watching television, or using a computer, cell phone, the internet, or any other means to get information related to the case or the people and places involved.
Okay, guys, sorry.
The statements and all of the facts and circumstances of a particular piece of evidence. The parties may sometimes make objections to some of the testimony.
Okay, the judge, in case you didn't know, the judge is explaining. So, the bailiff or the clerk was explaining, I guess, the rules of the courtroom. You can bring some water if you need something to be comfortable. Don't forget to raise your hand. Blah, blah, blah. Don't research, things of that nature. And then the judge is going in a little bit further. And then they're going to go ahead and start with the opening statements.
Finally, in fairness to the parties in this case, you should keep an open mind throughout this trial, reaching your conclusion.
Ma'am looks a complete and total hot mess. You guys, if you do not know who this is, I'm introducing to you Devyn Michaels. Devyn is a complete shit show. She's an ex-porn star. She was married to Robert Baker, that really gross guy that testified for about a week over at the Monica Simontilli. The guy, Mr. Racquetball. She was married to Mr. Racquetball. Okay. Yuck. Absolutely disgusting. She's a mess. Okay. This woman is on trial for M, and he's her baby father. The man who's dead is her baby father, right? She was already married. So it's a long, convoluted story, but she was married to his son, not his adult son. She was married to his adult son. And let's just go ahead and go into the opening statements and let them explain it to you. But her boyfriend was beheaded, allegedly by her. And during her police interview, it comes out that she's married actually to his son, and she's an ex-porn star. I mean, her resume is not glamorous at all. It's a complete shit show. Look at her hair. Okay. Anyway, let's get into it, guys. I'm going on mute. They're getting ready to start. Listen carefully, because we hear this is the complete narrative in the opening statement. So buckle up, okay? Because this one is a doozy, okay?
On August 7th of 2023, the defendant, Devyn Michaels, brutally murdered and savaged the body of her ex, Johnathan Willette. But the story did not begin on August 7th of 2023. And all I can say is buckle up because you're in for a wild ride. This is Johnathan in life. It's Jonathan's 2 young children that he shared.
Can I just say I did not know he was going to say buckle up. I had not even watched the opening statements, but this whole story gives, girl, brace yourself, okay?
With the defendant. Both girls, faces blocked out. They're preteen young children. You will learn during the course of this trial that John had a son from a prior relationship named Devyn. That after Devyn was born, he split with Devyn's mother, eventually getting into a relationship with the defendant. They then had these 2 children together. They separated, and there was a custody agreement that was ordered by the family court in which the victim had full physical custody of the girls. You will learn that the defendant was not happy about that situation, that the defendant wanted to have control of her girls, and she wanted to start a new life with Devyn, the same Devyn that is John's son. On August 7th of 2023, Yoko Willette, an elderly woman, woke up to find her dead son in his room with what she referred to as his face and neck missing. This is the 911 call she placed.
Yes, this is Yoko Willette. My number is, address is 2698 Aradura Drive, Anderson, Nevada. Yeah, 702-203-8975. Okay, I went downstairs and my son is on the bed and all bloody. I looked, I don't know, I opened the cover. It's all bloody, I don't know. Can you come over?
Yeah, we're coming up here. What happened to him, you know?
I have no idea. And so to the outside this morning,
Is he awake now?
and
Is he awake?
yes, I think he's dead.
Listen to him. I already have a calling for help, okay? How old is your son?
About 46 seconds.
Is he breathing?
Oh, bloody all over.
Where's he bleeding from him?
I don't know from yet, God comes to this.
Do you see any weapons around him?
No.
Nothing. Would he have harmed himself? Can you tell?
What?
Did he look like he hurt himself at all? Like, maybe
I
shot
have
himself?
no idea. Those was on the yard. I told him, I didn't know he was trying to move out from my house.
Okay.
And his girlfriend was here yesterday.
Okay. When's the last time you saw him? Yeah, when's the last time you saw him okay? How long ago?
Last night.
Last night?
Yeah. I think somebody has come to me.
Okay, yeah, we're already on the way, okay? We're gonna try to help him before we get there. Do you have a defibrillator available inside your house?
Huh?
Do you have a defibrillator available at your house, a shocking machine?
I don't.
That's okay, ma'am. What I want you to do is see, do you feel safe to get right next to him so we can try to just...
That is what police found when they arrived at the Willette residence. Johnathan on his bed in his bedroom. As you can see, his head is missing. Large blood stain at the foot of the bed there.
I'm just going to break right there for a second. Did we hear that? They wanted her to get the defibrillator. They probably wanted her to do chest compressions. And she was trying to tell them, yeah, I don't think we can do that. Do you imagine your own son, your grown son, your own son?
And a large amount of blood underneath where his head should be. Officers eventually removed the cover from his body. and noted several chemical burns or what appeared to be strange chemical burns on his body. And a very clean decapitation that you can see there. Henderson Police Department was responsible for the investigation. After first responders arrived on scene, clearly couldn't render any medical aid to the victim, they locked down the scene. Homicide investigators are then enlisted and take over. Along with the homicide investigators, they bring out an army of crime scene analysts and treat this case obviously very seriously, and they go into the home after executing a search warrant. When they go into the home, they obviously focus on the bedroom, but they do a pretty thorough search of the entire residence, the curtilage, the backyard, the front, the trash cans, the upstairs bedrooms, the kitchen, the living room, and these are the items that they find. A couple of chemical bottles, obviously relevant for the potential chemical burns on the victim's body. They find some interesting writings that you'll see a little bit more of later, demonstrating that there was a contentious custody case going on between the victim and someone at that point, someone. They see out front John's moving truck, the victim's moving truck. You will learn that he had a moving business. There's a trailer on the back. It's parked a little cattywampus, going the wrong way on the street and poking out into the street as though he may have planned on moving after he last parked that car or truck. But the items that weren't found are what was particularly notable for the investigators. They didn't find a murder weapon. They didn't find whatever this person used to cut his head off. They did not find his head. They did not find his wallet. They did not find his truck keys, and they did not find his phone. They interviewed Yoko, and the gentleman above Yoko's photo is Yoshida, her partner. According to Yoko and Yoshida, the defendant, who they referred to as Nikki and knew as Nikki, ultimately identified as Devyn Michaels, was the last person to see Johnathan alive. Nikki and John had been moving the girls and John's items from this Paladura address to Nikki's address on Porcupine Rim that she shared with Devyn, and for a temporary period over the summer, the young girls. They learned that Nikki and John returned to this address, the Paladura address, for the last time at 10 p.m. on August 6th, or around 10 p.m. They learned from Yoko that about 1 a.m., she was going downstairs for a glass of water and ran into the defendant, who she will describe to you when you hear from her as she appeared to be startled to see me. The defendant and Yoko have a conversation. It's relatively brief. Yoko's in the kitchen cleaning up some dishes. The defendant has now entered the kitchen, and they begin to talk when the defendant tells Yoko, John's asleep. Don't go in there. Those aren't her words. You'll hear this through the course of the trial. She says, John's asleep. He's passed out. We have plans for him to move some more stuff in the morning, kind of don't bother him kind of thing. Yoko then noticed that the lights were on in John's room, but decided, hey, if he's asleep, I'm not going to go in there. She returns back upstairs. Yoko went to sleep, leaving Nikki, or the defendant, alone in the home. You will learn very clearly that there were only 4 people in the home at the time of this incident: the victim, the defendant, Yoko, and Yoshida. Yoko also will tell you that around 8 a.m. she found John without a face. You probably heard from the 911 call, there's a bit of a language barrier. She'll do her best to describe what she initially saw and the shock, obviously, that ensued. So the defendant is the last person to see him, so investigators are very curious to speak with her. Homicide detectives summon her to the scene. They get a hold of her via a phone number given by a neighbor. She answers that phone. It's her phone. She agrees to come to the scene, leaving Devyn and the girls are with the defendant as well. She, in her initial interview, says John is her ex. They share the 2 children together, that they spent the whole day together on August 6th, moving, shopping for the girls' school supplies, etc. Everything's normal from her perspective. That evening, they were moving the girls' things into her home on Porcupine, and she was, in fact, at the Paladura residence last night doing that. She would go on to describe it's a normal night, there's nothing out of sorts, and that John was alive and well in the garage when she left. Remember that. Further investigation, of course, occurs. Homicide detectives are treating this very seriously. You will learn from many of them that when a homicide such as this comes in, they divide duties. There's too much for one person to do. And so, although there is a lead detective who goes by the name of Dennis Ozawa, Detective Ozawa was not in any way the only person investigating this case. He had an entire team, and you will hear from many of those people. You will learn that one big thing in the modern days of investigation is video cameras. They're everywhere in our valley, so they canvass all around. The Paladura residence is kind of right in the middle of all those yellow markers. They canvassed all these different addresses for anything who saw, heard anything, and anyone who had a camera. Some of those were fruitful, some of them were not. They knocked on the doors where video cameras were visibly present. They even knocked on doors where they weren't present in the hopes that maybe someone saw or heard something. And they gathered a lot of footage. We're going to do our best during the course of this trial to streamline it for you. There's hundreds of hours of footage, and we're going to present it in the best way we can. They also learned that there is a neighbor directly to the left of the homicide scene who had a motion activated Ring camera, which will become important later in the trial. There also was an autopsy, of course. The Henderson Detective Ozawa attended that autopsy. You will hear from the medical examiner in this case, Dr. Stephanie Yagi with the Clark County Coroner's Office, who enlisted the assistance of a forensic anthropologist, Dr. Burns, who works out of UNLV. You will learn that Dr. Yagi surmised that the cause of death was homicidal violence and the manner of death was homicide. You will learn that she noted the non-thermal chemical burns on the body, which did not contribute to his death, but were notable for investigative purposes. Something important I want you to keep in the back of your mind is there were no bleeding injuries anywhere else on the body, so everything was focused neck and above. You will learn that the decapitation occurred post-mortem. There are histological reactions that the body has if this type of thing happens while you're still alive and your body is trying to actively repair itself. None of those were present during the course of the autopsy, and so the doctor will testify that this was a post-mortem decapitation. As I mentioned, she enlisted the assistance of a forensic anthropologist, Dr. Burns. You will hear from her as well. She will talk about the science behind what she does, and in this particular case, she was enlisted for the main purpose of determining what was used to cut off Mr. Willette's head. She will tell you that she did microscopic examination. During the course of that thorough examination, she determined very clearly that there were 2 separate instruments used to chop off his head. She even can narrow it down by time because of the layering of the artifacts on the bones. And so she will surmise and testify that first, a serrated or non-serrated knife was used. So a knife, whether serrated or not. When that was unsuccessful, the defendant then used a powered saw of some sort. She can't narrow it down to class. You will learn, or class of tool. You will learn that the bones in the neck, the cervical spine, are very small. There are areas on it which would reflect these markings, but they are so small that she can't really surmise what type of saw. She'll testify that if it's a long bone, she has seen cases with dismemberment, involving dismemberment, but not a decapitation. But with dismemberment of larger bones, you can see more. which allows you to narrow down the type of saw that was used, but here that's not possible. Nonetheless, she will testify clearly that it was two different instruments, knife first, saw second. Further investigation also revealed what Mr. Draskevich alluded to in jury selection, a very non-traditional family situation. And I kind of mentioned this a little bit earlier. The investigation revealed that the defendant, after splitting with John, ultimately married his son, Devyn. Devyn moves in with her. They are together for an extended period of time. The defendant loses custody of the girls, and eventually the girls end up for a short period of time over the summer of 2023 before school starts, living in the home with the defendant and Devyn, with Johnathan living back at the Paladura residence with his mom and Yeshiva. This is Clark County Department of Family Services document showing the parent placement verification letter describing that John was awarded full physical custody of the girls on October 27th of 2022. That Johnathan, as I said, and the girls were living at 2698 Paladura at the time. You can see in the document that the defendant had weekly supervised visitation with the girls for an extended period of time. And you will learn through various witnesses that John kind of bent the rules with that and allowed her to see the girls a little bit more than was court ordered. You will also.
Hey, do you see that the name is Tamaya Baker? So is that Robert Baker's, one of those are Robert Baker's kids? You see that? Tamaya Baker. And then Janiyah Willette. So Johnathan Willette's daughter. And then Robert Baker's daughter. Hello. Interesting, right?
Also learned that John allowed the girls to stay with the defendant and Devyn, as I mentioned, at the Porcupine Rim address over the summer of 2023, and that Johnathan was going to move in with the defendant and the girls to try to stabilize their lives and basically try to get everyone under the same roof. The girls were having a real hard time with the custody situation, and his main focus was the girls. Obviously, with all this information they have gathered, the defendant is now a person of interest. She's the last person to see John. She's been over there very close in time to his murder. There's all these ties. There's the custody paperwork I showed you earlier, the writings that were in his room. And so they respond to Porcupine Rim. I can't remember if I put a map in here, but I'll just tell you we'll have a Google map for you that shows the distance between the homes. They're about 30 minutes apart. Paladura is in Henderson, Porcupine Rim is in Las Vegas, and it's a pretty good distance, about 30 minutes. The detectives will tell you, and this is Detective Ozawa and Detective Carrie Skinner, that when they go to the residence, they observe the defendant. She's kind of either moving stuff or moving back and forth between the home and the vehicle, and they note a couple of things before they approach and make contact with her. You see the Nissan Armada, which is the defendant's vehicle, looks pretty clean and shiny. You will see that cell phone on the right. The detectives observed that when they first drove up, kind of sitting in the rocks near the driveway. Thought, okay, that's weird, but we're not going to touch it. We're not executing a search warrant yet. They leave it be, and then they make contact with the defendant to interview her again, because now they know some more things and things aren't quite adding up and they want to know a little bit more. They make contact with the defendant, and this is prior to them going into the home and executing a search warrant on the home. They get a little more information, but the story generally remains the same, that John recently dated Andrea. This is extra information, but that last night he threw away his engagement ring in the trash can at Paladura, which, remember that. That John wanted to get back together with her romantically. This is new information. And move in, which we already know to provide stability for the girls. She mentioned that Yoko does not know Devyn and I are married. She claimed that her marriage with Devyn was one of convenience for insurance purposes, and non-romantic and not sexual in nature. You will learn, and you'll actually hear it, the interview. During this interview out in the police vehicle in front of Porcupine Rim, the girls walk up and you can hear them, their sweet little voices, and they're like, "This is Daddy's phone. This is Daddy's phone. This is why he wasn't answering." The detectives realize that's kind of important. They take the phone from the girls, or the girls give it to them, and the detectives note blood on the phone. Something important. They ask the defendant, "Well, how did this get here?" And she responded generally that he must have left it here earlier in the day when he was moving, and I don't know. I mean, there's a cigarette butt over there. I know he smoked cigarettes. It's by where the phone was. He probably left it. And the detectives are a little suspicious of that. They ask her a few more questions. Again, you're going to hear this stuff in the audio recording. So I've summarized it. And then ultimately at the end, she again sticks with this. John was alive and well in the garage when I left. As I mentioned, the detectives then obtain a search warrant and execute that search warrant on the home. They also get the warrant for the vehicles. You'll learn that white moving van is Devier's work van. He was a home security installer. He did various jobs for a legitimate company. They searched that vehicle, nothing of evidentiary value found in that vehicle. You can also barely see behind the van. There's a small sedan that's inoperable, but they search it nonetheless. They find nothing of evidentiary value. When it comes to the defendant's Nissan Armada, they photograph it on the outside, but then they apply seals to every opening, and then they tow that to have it searched later at their lab. You will learn they find in the garage the Ring cameras from John's home. Little weird. They grab them up. They seize them pursuant to the search warrant in the hopes that maybe since these are the cameras from John's home, it captured something. There is no footage, unfortunately, associated with it. They issued administrative subpoenas and attempted to obtain footage from Ring. There was no footage because he didn't have the right account to store the Ring footage in the cloud. And I'm butchering the technical terms, I'm sure, but you'll hear all of this from witnesses. They also noted that there was no SD card in the cameras themselves, but nonetheless, they took them, they seized them pursuant to the search warrant, just to make sure. You will also learn they find several of defendants' writings throughout the home describing kind of the relationship with Devier, not exactly how the defendant described it to them to begin with. Very importantly, they find the defendant's purse. Inside her purse, they find the victim's social security card, along with one of her work cards. This is the defendant's bedroom. What I've circled there is basically her underwear drawer. When you execute a search warrant, you go through everything. You basically toss the place. And when they were searching the defendant's underwear drawer, they found something. My mouse is freezing on me here. Very important. They find several layers of knotted plastic bags, and inside they find the victim's wallet, current identification, and his only set of truck keys. After the search warrant, they speak with the defendant again. They learn that the defendant's version regarding the phone is that she has no idea how it ended up there. They confront her with the blood on the screen. She initially says, "Oh, I don't know," and then she says, "He cut himself moving." Remember when I talked about the autopsy earlier, no other bleeding injuries on the victim's body? Remember that? She claims he cut himself while he was moving. There's no evidence to suggest that. They learned John wanted to move in with the defendant so we could have the girls under one roof and parent them. They further learned, although they already kind of know this, that John has physical custody of the girls, and the defendant claims she plays nice with him to kind of keep access to the girls and keep things kosher. They also learned, which is very important, that John was moving in quicker than she expected. They learned not only from the defendant but other witnesses that this idea of them reuniting for the children had been discussed for several months, but that on this night, on August 6th, John began loading stuff into the truck when the defendant is loading up the girl's stuff into the truck. And she kind of realizes for the first time he was serious about this and this is going to happen. And you'll learn that that's when the walls start closing in on the defendant and she makes the decision she made. The detectives confront her with the fact that there is no notifications on the phone when the girls provide it. It's black. They open it and there are no notifications on the screen. But that she had contacted him several times in the night before and that those notifications should be there based on the timing of the phone arriving in her house. They ask her before telling her what they have found in the home. They ask her, hey, do you have any idea where John's wallet would be? She says very unequivocally, no idea. They then say, well, hey, we kind of found this ID and this wallet in your bedroom. And she then changes her story and she provides a version. Again, you will hear this in an audio recording in which she says it was back at the Paladura residence. She held the plastic bags open and John placed his items into the bag and she tied them up right in front of them. And they confront her when the story doesn't make sense over and over. And that's kind of the story she sticks with regard to that. You will learn there was an extensive follow-up investigation after that interview. Although things weren't adding up, although things looked very strange, the detectives did not rush to judgment and arrest her right there. Although all of the victim's property is inside her home, his blood is at her scene, they don't arrest her right there. They choose to do follow-up investigation. You will learn there was fingerprint analysis that was done. Nothing really of evidentiary value comes of that. You will learn that DNA processing was done, that the victim's blood was in fact on the phone at her house, and that the defendant's DNA was on the knot of those plastic bags where his property was found inside. You will also learn that an extensive digital investigation was done, and that was in the form of video surveillance, digital forensics, meaning phone dumps. They take the actual devices found. There's 11 found inside her home, including the victims. They plug it into a machine. They'll talk about the technology. They're able to extract the data from the phone, and they find several things of note. They also do a call detail record investigation. That is the records that your cell phone maintain or are maintained on your cell phone, everybody's cell phone, with the company you used for service. And those records not only show incoming and outgoing messages and calls, but they also show location data, because every time you place a call or receive one, you are pinging on some kind of tower and leaving a trail of where you've been. Not a precise trail, but a general trail of where you've been. They also pull Burla. Burla is a lot more precise than the cell phone towers. That is an infotainment system inside the Nissan Armada. And they're able to extract that data, and I'll show you that in a moment. They very clearly get a timeline based upon the Burla. The defendant's vehicle is at the victim's home by 10 o'clock at night. The vehicle activates but does not move at about 11 o'clock at night. The vehicle leaves the home for good at 2:04 a.m. 2:04 a.m. on August 7th. And you'll see that in a moment. I've noted here that the video surveillance, DFL, and CDR rule out Devier. Obviously, he was interviewed. You will hear from him during the course of this trial. but they treat him as a suspect. Obviously, there's some fishy circumstances. They're not just pinning this on the defendant because what she's saying doesn't make sense. They're looking into both the defendant and Devyn and others. The video surveillance that I'm referring to is kind of wide ranging. There is one particular camera you're going to learn about that was near the Porcupine Rim residence, the defendant's home. That is a full-time camera. It's not a motion activated camera that allows them to see the home, see what vehicles left, came and went at any given time, and they clearly rule out Devyn from that video. In addition, I mentioned earlier, there's video surveillance from next door to the victim's home that captures the defendant at around 11 a.m. going to her vehicle, moving it slightly, and then ultimately leaving. Gotta love technology. Here are a couple of additional clips from video surveillance. The one on the left is the defendant with the victim the night before when they're doing the moving. It shows us that they are together, that no third party is present, it's just them. They go into a store, they buy an item, and they leave. And then 2:28 a.m., the defendant is alone. It kind of clipped off on this particular picture, but the defendant is alone in her vehicle after she leaves the residence and goes back to her home, ultimately landing there about 2:46 a.m. Those digital forensic examinations I mentioned become relevant, especially when it comes to Devyn. There's much more than this, but I'm trying to narrow it down for the opening statement. This particular message was sent from Devyn to the defendant. As you can see at 10:36 p.m. See you when you get back. I'm going to sleep. Girls are in the living room. And the video surveillance supports that. This image you're seeing now is the CDR cell tower location data. There is much more to it when the witness testifies. There's a bunch of animated videos you're going to see. Just for this purpose, I did a screenshot. The blue and red represent the victim and the defendant's phone, and the green represents Devyn's phone at our operative time period, showing him across town when that last message was sent and throughout the evening. You'll also see the burla that I referenced earlier. As I mentioned, burla leaves actual GPS breadcrumbs like by the foot. So as opposed to just a tower you're hitting on, this is actually showing the track. And you're going to see very clearly when the defendant came and went from the victim's residence on the night of August 6th, as well as when she left on August 7th. After all of this information is gathered, it's very clear that the defendant did this to the detectives. They make the decision to place her under arrest for murder with use of a deadly weapon. After she is arrested, she is interviewed again. This time they try with two different detectives. Obviously, the statements she gave earlier were inconsistent, and so they send in a couple of other detectives, and you'll hear from that detective as well. In this particular interview, the defendant acknowledged that she realized John was actually moving in, that at the time of the murder, she was giving John a massage on the bed. While he was lying on his stomach, the defendant got up, walked over to the fireplace and grabbed a large, what she referred to as a stick or maybe a candle holder. It's a large, heavy object. John was lying on his stomach, not a threat, in the midst of a massage, face down, unexpected, and the defendant admits that she returned to the bed, bashed him over the head with that club or stick, and that John went limp at that time. You will learn that the defendant refused to acknowledge what she did next. You can make your determination as to why someone might do that as this trial goes on. But she refused to tell detectives what she did with John's head or with the weapon, that those items were never recovered. And so you need to put together the pieces, as the judge just described with the rain example. You will learn that this is the reality of the situation before John was killed, and that the defendant wanted John out of the picture. This is the future that she saw, that she wanted, and the only way to have that future was with John out of the picture. Thank you for your time and attention this week. We truly do appreciate it.
Is the defense going to give an opening statement?
Yes, we are, Your Honor, and if we could have perhaps a 5-minute
Yeah.
recess. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a brief recess so we can get the technology set up. During this recess, you must not discuss or communicate with anyone, including fellow jurors, in any way regarding this case or its merits, either by voice, phone, email, text, internet, or other means of communication or social media. You must not read, watch, or listen to any news or media accounts or commentary about the case. You must not do any research, such as consulting dictionaries, using the internet, or using reference materials. You must not make any investigation, test the theory of the case, recreate any aspect of the case, or in any other way investigate or learn about the case on your own, and you must not form or express any opinion regarding this case until it's finally submitted to you. Ladies and gentlemen, it is 1:50. We'll be in recess until 2:05.
All right, for the jury, please leave your notebooks on your chairs. Please be seated. Your Honor, the jury is all present and accounted for.
All right, we are back on the record in C-377-239, State of Nevada versus Devyn Michaels. May the record reflect that Ms. Michaels is present with her attorneys, Deputy District Attorney on behalf of the state, and both parties give the presence of our jury.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, defense, are you prepared to give an opening statement?
We are.
Whenever you're ready.
Thank you. Leo Tolstoy, perhaps one of the greatest authors of all time, in his first book, first novel, Anna Karenina, wrote, first sentence, all happy families are the same. Every unhappy family is unhappy in its own way. Her Honor asked whether we were going to give an opening statement. An opening statement, as Mr. Giordani had laid out, is a time for each side to stand before you and tell you what the facts are. It's our chance to give you a roadmap and explain to you what we feel the facts and ultimately the truth are. Oftentimes, defense attorneys sit back and wait. Don't want to show anything. Let's see what they've got. This case, we're not doing that. We're going to get right out in front of this case and we're going to tell you what's really going on and what the state and what their investigation is missing. Initially, Mr. Giordani had said, well, buckle up, and I'm telling you, buckle up. You know, oftentimes in the intricacies and the complications of human relations, things get unsavory. Things are immoral. I'm going to be showing you things right now, not in a sense to offend you, to cast blame necessarily on the decedent in this case, but to give you a true picture of what was really going on with this unhappy family. Outward actions and outward statements are clues to motive. And we're going to ask you that through the course of this trial, you keep the idea of motive in mind. Motive authors actions. After the state had learned, the police had learned concerning the death of Johnathan Willette, they began to conduct a series of interviews. And what's telling the course of these interviews is what's discussed, what outward statements are made, and how those are clues to motivations. DeVries interviewed the day of August 7th, 2023. And at the beginning of his interview, he admits that he's been drinking. He claims that upon hearing of his father's death, he'd got his drink on. But what's telling through the course of what he says and what he doesn't say, he's asked, and again, at first, and you can't blame the detectives, they're trying to do the best they can with a fairly complex situation. They're trying to get a root, a feeling of the root of the relationships between the parties. I mean, you've got Johnathan Willette, who's dead. You've got Devyn, the son that's living with the defendant now in this case, Devyn Michaels, and they're trying to grasp what's really going on. What's going on behind closed doors. They struggle in each of the interviews, both with Devyn and with Devyn, to get a feeling of what's going on. Like, what are the relationships? And they're misled time and time again by all parties. In this interview, the first of which that Devyn has, they're trying to get a handle on this idea of this marriage and the relationship. And they ask him, but you're saying that you guys are married more out of convenience, not like you guys actually love each other. His response, yeah, we don't. It's not like that. It's out of convenience. But you guys sleep in the same room? His response, no. He's asked here, they're at the home. His response, no. Are you guys intimate at all? His response, no. Devyn is being asked questions who, by the way, you will learn he hated. And he's lying about the relationship that he has with his wife. There was some discussion concerning phones, and I'll tell you anymore in this modern society, these are the key of most investigations. In fact, the statement said that's why the Devyn was ruled out. The location data on the phone didn't track that night to the Paladera residence. That's easily solved. It's easily explained. It was left home. That's it. There are other cases that have been of some notoriety that happens. People know now. They track you on your phones. You're going to learn that Devyn knew this and the importance and the significance of this clue to this hidden secret. This was no marriage of convenience. We have out here the wedding ring that you'll see in photos that both Devyn and Devyn wore. In fact, Detective Skinner, again trying to grasp this, and this is on August 7th, is asking Devyn about the rings. He's telling me the rings, you guys are saying this is convenience, but rings are like of significance. It shows commitment. She plays it down, as does Devyn. This marriage of convenience is belied by the facts. You have to ask yourself, as these facts unfold, why is Devyn covering for Devyn? And why is Devyn covering for Devyn? This is no sexless union. And again, this isn't to offend, this isn't to shock, but this gives the nature of what's really going on and why that statement was so untrue. I mean, these are pictures taken from their respective phones, and you can see the timestamps. And this will be admitted to you, and you will be able to consider this in reaching the appropriate verdict in this case. This participant, this is a voicemail, 4/27/23 in this sexless, non-intimate marriage.
Do you make love to me tonight? I just want to feel you better. I just want to go just as touching me, kissing my body, and kissing yours. I just want some passion tonight, please.
These are photos recovered from her phone that were taken from her phone, 5/17/23. And again, they're sexual in nature. This isn't to offend. However, what detectives didn't learn is that this relationship wasn't something that was being frustrated. by Johnathan moving in. This relationship had gone on for years before. See the picture of Devyn 125, it was modified, access 1227. It goes back 7 years. Driver's license, this is Devyn, and if you look and take notice, I mean, this is some years before, he's 6'4". He's 185 pounds. He's a big guy, like his dad. His dad, 6'4", 205 pounds. We had spoken yesterday. Devyn Michaels was in the porn industry. You know, she's not on trial for morality. She's on trial for murder. She had AKAs given her line of work. Devyn was into that. He knew that. He appreciated that. He pursued that. And this illicit relationship began before the relationship had ended with his father. It was done behind his back. Text between Devyn and Devyn. See, notice the photo, it's that same photo I showed you, 19-year-old, he's now 20. Girl, you had me mesmerized last night. You don't have to change a thing. Like that night was hands down the most sensational feeling I've ever felt since I lost my virginity. These are expressions of a passionate 20-year-old young man who's in love with a porn star. See the dates? Modified 9/3/16. That means it was looked at 7/18/26. We've got Devyn 20 here. And I'm going to show you photos to show the identification of what's going on. You've got a penis shot taken from her phone. And you see up in the corner, it's Devyn. So the case, the facts will show and common sense will dictate that this isn't a case about her wanting to be with Devyn and she kills Johnathan. She's been with Johnathan. What happened on August 7th of 2023 is Devyn was getting kicked out. He was no longer going to be a part of this relationship because the dad he hated, was coming in and not only taking his home, but taking his wife. Again, 2016, and this shows the length. And this isn't everything, but we're trying to just present this to you now so you have an idea. You can appreciate the motivations. Tracy, you put the biggest smile on my face. You haven't seen it already. You are the first thing on my mind in the morning, but I can't kiss you in the morning sadly. But boy, when my lips touch yours, it feels like time stops. For you, my heart races 1,000 miles and never skips a beat. When I have you in my arms, you may as well start a fire in my chest, because no one can make me feel like a melting stick of butter like you at your best. Just wanted to say you truly outdid the rest. 7 years before. Don't worry, at one point I'll be laying next to you, playing with your hair, scratching your back, and whispering something romantic in your ear. Again, the dates are telling. We saw pictures of Johnathan and Devyn and the kids, but if you look at the date here and the time, this is 19-year-old Devyn. Johnathan's not in the picture. Same time frame, you see. Screenshot, 8/23/16. There were a couple. And there were a couple behind Dad's back. Same photo, same time frame, modified 5/9/22. We're coming now to the present. There'd been a long-going, torrid affair, which resulted in a marriage between a son and his father's former girlfriend. This is Devyn receiving a text from Devyn See, 11/3/21, hope it's good. I was looking, it was good, but I'm looking forward to eating something else later. Her response, Arby's, his, if that's what you call that coochie, then yeah, I guess so too. So again, it shows that this was consistent. Pictures of Devier's phone. You see modified restraint looked at 5/15/23. Capture time 5/15/23. Again, the date 5/15/23. I mean, this is clearly an intimate relationship. It's not for the kids. It's not for these perceived medical issues. Devier is in love with Devyn. Captures on his phone. You'll hear from Devier, and we may not have a moment that we discussed yesterday where I can't take it. I did it. Look at the motivations and why people say what they do. Devier's 9/14/2023 grand jury testimony. And if I could just ask you a couple more questions about that. Did you and Devyn get married in the traditional sense? And this is under oath in front of a grand jury where there's jurors. It's a formal proceeding, just like a trial. His response, yes, but it was more me helping out with the girls when she couldn't find a babysitter. So I figured, well, we both kind of sat and talked about it. When she has to go to work and can't find a babysitter, I could be there. She also had a whole bunch of medical problems, and it's very expensive to keep the girls at daycare when she's sitting in the hospital, so I would normally be there to watch them. Okay, and I'm sorry to ask, was it an intimate relationship that you were in with Devyn at some point? And now we start seeing, they've got the phones. Metro and the Henderson Police Department are doing their investigations. His response changes, but nonetheless, it's still not truthful. Yes, after the first year, it started to get intimate. They were married November 21st, 2021. So if we're to take Devier at his word, they got intimate after the first year, that gets us to November, December of 2022. The lie, and the facts show it. Did it remain intimate up until the time of your father's death? Yes. Movement, but still, there's the clues that give way to the secrets that are being concerned and the motive for why. In this initial interview, okay, so then you knew he was moving in and she told you that you were gonna have to move out. And this is after he's had a few drinks, probably a lot. His response, recently, yes. It was kind of a short notice, but yeah, and I mean, I know the person he is, and he's referring to his father. So I was like, okay, whatever, I'll deal with it. Okay, and you were gonna move out? Did he knew that you lived here or didn't know that you lived here? His response, no. He knew I lived here. When you look and when you weigh the evidence, you have to ask two things. Why is he saying these things? Why is he denying knowledge of getting kicked out? And this hot and heavy and sexual relationship that he's having with Devyn. It changes now. 9/12/23. I didn't know that he was going to move in. He's eliminating another motive. I didn't know what they were attempting to get over. I didn't know that they were attempting to get remarried or not remarried because they were never married, attempting to get married. Again, we do get a glimpse of the truth, but he's denying that he knew that his dad was moved in, he moved in, and then now he's apparently saying he didn't know they were getting married too. Well, he knew his dad was getting moved in. And he knew that they were getting married. He's out. 9/14/2023 grand jury testimony. Again, this is Devier. Okay, did there come a point in time where you learned that your father was going to move into the address were you living with Devyn and the two girls? His response, under oath, I'm unaware of that. Okay, did you become aware of that? After I talked to the detective, yes. Oh, okay, so that's something you learned after your father's death? His response, yes. Understood. Was there a discussion about you potentially moving out of the residence? His response, no, sir. Prior to your father's death, no, sir. Again, it's eliminating under oath the motive. This is a text that Devyn sent to him 4 days before this incident. See down at the bottom, 8/3/2023, liar, cheater, it goes on and on. Obviously, there's passion in this non-intimate relationship, if you're gonna take his word for it. She sends him a text, 8/3/23, I want a divorce. All your shit will be waiting outside for you. 4 days before Dad's moving in. Do not even think about coming back. Yet he tells the detective he had no idea. He had no idea there'd been no discussions of it getting booted out of the house. So he's losing a wife and he's losing a home. She states, keep your alcohol, just stay out of my life. You'll learn from this witness stand that Devyn had a fair amount in common with the father that he hated. He was a heavy drinker. You know, a buddy of mine was a warden in Arkansas, and he said, we eliminate women, we eliminate booze. I got nobody in my prison. 9/12/23, interview of Devyn. Well, you weren't. You weren't the main suspect. You know what I mean? This is yours, this is a little different than hers. We're here, you didn't do it to clear you. His response, right. Does that make sense? It does. And while the chances of you even being there are so slim that it's just, there's no, that's not even on the radar. These are the detectives that are investigating this case. Perhaps they're ignorant of this, what was really going on, the real dynamic of this fairly seedy, buckle up relationship. Again, he's ruled out and basically not on the radar because he didn't have the phone on him when his dad was killed. He killed his father. He just left his phone at home when he did that. He's been very clear through his interviews that he worked at home trials. He has extensive knowledge of home security systems. And we all know that most home security systems, there's a phone element to it. It caches on your phone. You have a Ring camera, Arlo, any of those. Phone-based. And Devyn has a substantial amount of technical knowledge. He also installed home entertainment systems. If any of you have had speakers put in, TVs put up, you got tools. Generally a Sawzall, an electronic knife, an electronic saw might cut through the drywall and through 2x4s. We know how that's at least one of the two instruments that was used to remove his father's head. Again, and I've addressed this, why lie to these on 8/7, then again on 9/12, then lie to the grand jury on 9/14. Motives, author actions, outward statements betray secrets. He's repeatedly eliminated his motivation through the course of this investigation. And she's been complicit, whether she knew or not, she's complicit in this. We have Devyn covering for Devyn, and we have Devyn covering for Devyn. Here she is. This, and again, this is just scratching the surface, but these are photographs that are captured on Devyn's phone, just to give you an idea. And there's a long list. We could be here for much longer than we're going to. You know, he's not on any cameras. Well, yeah, that's what he does for a living. He's aware of the security systems. He installs them. He's aware of the angles, what they pick up and what they do. And it goes on and on. But like I said, I won't keep you here for the rest of the afternoon, but these are all, and this is just scratching the surface of what's captured on his phone. I mean, this is sophisticated stuff, and he has sophisticated knowledge. He's taking photographs of all this as part of his work. This is his handiwork. And there's a lot of them. I would submit to you the facts will show and common sense will dictate he knows how to stay under the radar. He lived at the home where his father was killed. It got too bad between him and his dad. He refers to that house in the Paladera residence with Yoko and her significant other and his dad and Andrea. Jonathan's prior girlfriend was there. He talked about it being a shit show, madhouse. He lived there for more than a couple of years. He knew how to get into that house and get out of that house. I'll thumb through these. And again, this is captured on his phone. There's a couple of tools back there. Drill. This is the home that Devyn and Devyn were living at prior to him getting kicked out. It's right here. It's on Porcupine. The person who lives there knows how to escape detection. Leave the front door, come around, you're on Rebecca Street. There's an even simpler route for a guy that's 6'4", 195 pounds. Right out the back door.
But they're wondering what it looks like with 30 in 30 minutes. Or
This
this
is
like that.
there.
Yeah.
The results of the autopsy, homicidal violence, there's no real cause. No one knows for sure. Could have been a shooting. These are pictures on, and there's more, but these are just to let you see what was captured on Devyn's phone. If you look at this is telling, look at the date. 8/7/23. Modified that meant it was looked at the day his dad was killed, or the afternoon, the night following his dad being killed. We looked at that. These are swords that were found in the Porcupine residence. The police went in and searched the residence on 8/7/23. This was the residence that Devyn was living at with Devyn. Some of my swords on the floor. There has been a lack of investigation. And again, this isn't bad cop, good cop. No, these are good men trying to do the best they can. But they make mistakes. They've been repeatedly lied to concerning the dynamic of a fairly complicated and salacious relationship. 2 instruments at least used to decapitate Johnathan, 1 manual tool and 1 power tool. Neither recovered. Coroner examination, tool mark analysis reveals characteristics consistent with the use of 2 tools. A hand-powered knife and mechanically powered saw. Something when someone does homes installations, security systems, entertainment systems would have and know how to use. Listen, the mechanics to decapitate a human being are difficult. I mean, you've got this complex systems, you've got the musculature, you have the veins, the arteries, you've got the trachea, you've got the vertebrae, very thick ligaments, cartilage. It takes a lot. Hand-powered saw can do it. What's interesting, and you will see, and it will play out, there's no blood spatter in the room consistent with use of power tool. Apparently there's an assumption that this decapitation occurred on the bed. I submit to you when you see the evidence, it's not consistent with that. You've got a power saw going in the neck there and you're cutting through it, there's gonna be stuff all over the place. They didn't find anything. No cuts or markings to linens, the blanket, or the mattress. Devyn is 5'3" and weighs 130 pounds, I'm like 120. And again, and this will be for the state, because it's the state and the state alone that has to prove this case. Defense doesn't have to prove anything. There had been surveillance cameras that bad at Palagura since 2021, and they were only taken down that evening. Johnathan was moving. We'll probably learn through the course of this trial who installed them. Safe to say it was probably Devyn. Ring was never subpoenaed for these videos. We've heard that perhaps it was around account information. The Michaels, Devyn Michaels residence, she was a homeowner that the home phone records were never subpoenaed. And see, this is significant because you can see on Devyn's phone that on the night of, and we don't know when this happened, wee hours of the morning, there had been calls from their home repeatedly. She was out late. She was with Johnathan. And at least for a time, Devyn was home with the kids. In fact, the same thing had happened the night before. She had been with Johnathan until 1 a.m. the previous day as well, when Devyn was presumably home, probably drinking. There's no blood or DNA analysis of the swords that porcupine rim, but again, too, we don't take issue with it. It's probably a sawzall or another hand-powered saw was used. No gun residue testing of either Devyn or Devyn. No gun residue testing at Paladera. No blood on Devyn's clothes when Yoko sees her at 1 a.m. It was actually Yoko's habit to come down from downstairs. Jonathan's room, the room he was moving on and moving out of was downstairs. And through the cell phone analysis, you're going to see that it was somewhat of a shit show at that house. It was a very cantankerous relationship between Johnathan and his mother. Don't drink, you're going to get pulled over. The autopsies results will show that fatty liver and the guy's a heavy drinker. He had GHB in his system, he had marijuana in his system. The issue about the car keys and the wallet, Social Security guard being at the house that he's moving into, given not only Devyn's concern, but Yoko's concern. For most people, that may be a big deal, significant, where this guy getting loaded, driving regularly, that takes keys. Cell phone, part of the bunch. He was moving into that residence, and that's where the police found these things. That isn't evidence of motive, not evidence of murder. There is no blood on Devyn's clothes when she goes through the CVS drive through the pharmacy. Their kids were home. They were home the prior nights. They were living with Devyn. There had been a custody dispute, but that had been now resolved through the rekindling their relationship. She lied about the sex that she was having with Devyn, or Devyn lied about the sex she was having with Devyn. Devyn lied about the sex she was having with Johnathan. There's no blood on the clothes investigators recovered from Devyn's house. There's no blood on her. And I'm going to show you the video in just a few minutes that the state had showed. The still. This is the night before he is dead and decapitated. Watch that. This is her. And look at her shoes for a minute, please. Shorts and her shirt. He's smiling. They're adjusting their clothes. And bear with me, this is about 1 minute and 20 seconds, but we want you to watch the whole thing. There's Johnathan. And she had spent this day with him and the girls. They were going school shopping. They were going Burlington. They were moving in things. The girls were there for good. And again, what motivation does she have to get rid of him? She had the girls all summer and was going to continue. She tried to register at school the next morning, but she wasn't able to. Unbeknownst to her, he was dead. She went back the next day and tried to register. Look at his face. They're smiling at each other. He's smiling at her. Thanks, Mike. Did you just rewind that a little bit? Thank you. Here we go. Look at his face. Thank you. Oh, did we skip something? Just a second. Can we forward this just towards the end of it where Devyn's walking out?
Mm-hmm.
Again, look at the shoes. And this is before this beheading that the state's saying that she did. There goes Johnathan, and there she goes. Look at her shoes. Look at her shirt. Those are the shorts. CVS 227. After she leaves the Paladura house, the house that Johnathan is moving out of to move in with her, for them to be a family and rekindle this relationship, I'm gonna have you believe that she's worried about stopping and picking up a prescription for her daughters. And she does that. She goes, tells the police she went to a 24-hour pharmacy. She had to get medication for girls at school. So this is her rolling up. And see, it's 228. If you look at the shirt, same shirt. And this is after she's presumably gone through this arduous task of heading Johnathan. She has the wherewithal to get a prescription after supposedly beheading man. She arrives home shortly after that, and that's picked up on the cameras. This is the home. The police enter and photograph hours after this murder is alleged to have occurred. See down here on the right? See the shoes? Black shoes, white soles, middle of it. I think we focus up on one, but there's actually two there. These are the shoes that were worn when the man was beheaded hours before. There's another pair of shoes matching those that we saw in that video from Carol Hurst at 10 o'clock the night before. You know, you don't have to like her. You don't have to like the choices that she made. Because Benjamin Franklin said that facts are stubborn things, and the state has the facts that they have. look at the evidence, look at the motivations, and find her not guilty. Thank you.
Steve, are you prepared to call your first witness?
Yes, Your Honor. Officer Cooper, Your Honor.
Cooper.
Step up and then send the question.
Okay, guys, we're going to get, so the first witness is coming up. He's first on the scene. This is the officer that sees, who shows up at the scene after his mother calls. And then we're going to just end it right here. This is a lot to absorb. So, but yeah, let's hear what he has to say. I'm sure it's going to be, you know, let's just get into it. Let's see. It's only about 18 minutes and then we'll get into some more tomorrow. Okay? All right, let's get into it and then I'm going to let you guys go.
Yes, sir. How you doing?
You solemnly swear or affirm the testimony about this action shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes, sir.
Sir, can you please state your full name and then spell it for the record?
Full name is Marquis Cooper, Marque, last name Cooper, Cooper.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you employed?
By City of Henderson.
What's your position there?
I am a patrol officer
How long have you worked in that capacity?
for 8 years.
And what are some of the duties of a patrol officer? Could you inform the ladies and gentlemen of the jury that may not know?
Yeah, for patrol officers, typically responding for calls for service. It can be something as simple as a civil dispute or as a shooting. So just whatever calls for service that come through the computer.
And as a patrol officer, are there certain areas that you're assigned to?
Yes, so Henderson's separated by the North Division, West and East, was assigned to the North Division. And in those, also in those North, they're separated by what they call beats or areas, which is, they're numbered on ours as 1 through 7 for the North.
And you said which area command were you responsible for on around the time frame of August 7th, 2023?
That was a North Area Command.
What types of call for service would you go out to and respond to?
As far as on that day or just in general?
Just in general.
It could be a gamut of things. I mean, like I said, a simple complaint of neighbor dispute to a shooting to petty larceny. We had them all there. So a lot of petty larceny and things of that nature. So it could be anything you can respond to.
Then turning your attention to August 7th of 2023, were you working as a patrol officer at that time?
Yes.
And
Thank
which
you,
area command was
Kiki.
that again?
The North Area Command.
North Area Command. Were you then dispatched to a call at 2698 Paladura Drive on that date?
Yes.
Around what time did that call come out?
Don't know the exact time, but I roughly think it was around 8:50-ish.
Fair to say around 8:40 in the morning.
Yes.
And what was the nature of the call as you understood it at that time?
At that time, what I had was the CAD notes from the computer, and it just said that a mother found her son, and she saw blood, and I think the other detail was he didn't have a face. That's what the call note stated.
And then after getting that information, did you then respond to that Paladura address?
Yes.
Did you respond with anyone?
Yes, there was another officer dispatched with me, and I also responded with the Henderson Fire Department.
Do you recall which officer was with you?
Officer Flores, and then more eventually showed up after.
Okay, but initially it's you and Officer Flores that respond to this Paladura address.
Yes, ma'am.
When you responded to the address, were you in a marked patrol vehicle?
Yes.
Okay. How is it that you responded to the scene? And specifically what I'm wondering is, did you roll code?
Initially I started code, but I was close by and then I shut down just because I was close by and it was more safety reasons.
Can you inform us what rolling code means?
That is lights and sirens.
How long did it ultimately take you to get to the scene once the call came out, would you say?
I don't know the exact.
Was it hours, minutes?
No, a few minutes.
And when you did arrive to the scene, were you wearing what's called a body-worn camera?
Yes.
And was that recording when you did respond?
Yes.
Prior to today, did you review that body-worn camera footage?
Yes.
Your Honor, permission to admit State's Exhibit 2 that I believe has been previously stipulated between the parties for this admission.
Absolutely, no objection.
Okay, States 2 will be amended?
Your Honor, permission to publish that exhibit?
Yes.
Sir, are you able to see that in front of you at that computer screen?
Yes.
Okay. And what does that appear to be?
You sorry, what'd you say?
In front of you, what does that appear to be on the computer screen?
My body cam footage.
Okay. And specifically looking at the top right-hand position, do we see a date there?
Yeah.
And what does that date say?
8721E3.
And would that be August 7th, 2023?
Yes.
And is there a timestamp at the start of this video?
Yes. 8:46 a.m.
And about 13 seconds?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and play the video from the beginning. And specifically fast forward to about the minute mark. Publishing at 53 seconds.
Good morning.
And I'm going to pause it there at 108. That siren we heard, is that your rolling code, as you would call it?
At this point, I was just trying to get around so I think there were some cars blocking. I was trying to get around to.
Understood. Playing again from 108.
I can do one driver from apartment, calling it six number on service, but I want it. Sure,
And I'm going to pause the video at 1 minute 36 seconds. So when you approach the scene, the 2698 Paladura Drive, are there already people at the residence?
Yes, the Henderson Fire Department, and there was somebody else. I don't know who that was.
But it was a fire department response prior to your response?
Yes.
And is this you obviously walking towards the residence?
Yes.
Playing at 1 minute 36 seconds. And I just want to stop it here at 142. Is there anything unique about sort of the garage area that you saw when you were walking up to the residence?
That it was just slightly cracked.
Playing at 1:42. And I'm stopping here at 1:59. Did you hear something in the background when you arrived?
I mean, a dog barking.
Okay. Do you recall the dogs being in the house at the time?
I don't recall if they were in the house.
Playing at 1:59.
Okay. Let's lock this down then.
Stopping it at 2 minutes, 19 seconds. Was that your voice there, sir?
Yes.
And what did you say in that video?
If it was missing head, let's lock it down.
Okay. And what does lock it down mean?
Meaning there's now a crime scene, so we kind of push everybody out and freeze that area, to limit access to the house, essentially.
The initial response was not necessarily a response to a crime. Is that correct?
Not initially.
It was to see, essentially respond to what was being called into as someone that needed potential medical aid. Is that right?
Yes.
But once you saw this, you determined it appeared to be a crime scene and you locked it down.
Yes.
Playing again at 2:19.
Lock this down. Let's FI them.
And I'm going to stop right there at 2 minutes, 32 seconds because I hear another term that we may not know. What does FI mean?
FI is a field interview. So essentially, we'll gather information, name, date of birth, things of that nature. It's a field interview of people involved.
Okay. And that was because you had seen, I believe we saw earlier in the video, 2 individuals that appeared to have lived in the residence that you wanted to do an interview of. Is that right?
Yes.
Playing again at 2:32.
Sarge, 142. Are you around?
Stopping the video at 2 minutes, 50 seconds. I hear you on your radio. What are you doing at that point?
At this point, I'm just making sure, due to the nature of the call, making sure the supervisor is on his way.
And who was your supervisor that you were reaching out to?
Sergeant Shields.
And is that typical protocol to reach out to a supervisor in
Yes.
this type of situation?
Yes.
Okay. And when you went into the room, what were your initial observations of what you saw? Clearly, you saw a deceased person. Is that right?
Yes.
Anything unique about the body?
I think initially, obviously, that it was decapitated and there wasn't much blood initially that I figured it would be. And also there was like a strong, like chemical smell inside that room was the first initial things that were surprising to me.
Were you able to see what was used to cut off the head or kill the person?
No.
Playing at 2 minutes, 50 seconds.
Copy. Hey, we're locking it down until we get here. No 71. Hey, when you get here, can you grab a crime scene log?
And stopping at 3 minutes, 8 seconds. What is a crime scene log?
Crime scene log is, once we determine it's a crime scene, it's pretty much a document to list out who enters or who exits that crime scene.
So in this video, you're essentially asking for one of those. Is that right?
Yes.
Playing at 3:08. And I'm pausing at 3:11. Are those the 2 individuals that you saw in the home that appear to be residents?
Yes.
Were you able to, through your investigation, identify those 2 individuals?
Yes.
Okay. And was that Yoko Willette and Masao Yoshida?
Yes.
Playing at 3:11. And I'm stopping there at 3:24. We hear in the video that it appears to be only those two individuals as well as the deceased that was in the home at that time. Is that right?
Yes.
Playing at 3:24. Stopping the video at 3:55. So essentially, after you are locking down the scene, calling your sergeant, and the investigation is underway, what do you do at this point?
At this point, we're just waiting for the sergeant to get here. We're eventually going to set up some crime scene tape and start that crime scene log.
Court's indulgence. Your Honor, the state will pass the witness. Charles?
Yes, thank you. Officer Cooper, you had said something on your direct. You had testified that obviously you see that this body is missing a head, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you had said that there was not as much blood as you thought there would be, correct?
Yes.
Based upon experience.
In this situation, no, just from being on different types of critical incidents.
Fair to say that there wasn't as much blood there as you thought there would be. Perhaps that head was removed somewhere else, correct? Different spot.
One more time, sorry.
I said, fair to say that based upon you not seeing as much blood as you thought there would be, reasonable assumption is maybe that body was decapitated somewhere else other than where you saw it laying in bed, correct?
I'm not sure if it was moved or what. Just on my initial, it didn't see.
Okay. You'd also testified that when you came into the residence, this smell hit you. I think your testimony was it was a strong smell, correct?
Yes.
Now, there were two other occupants at 849 when you arrived. It was Yoko and the couple that was standing there, correct?
Yes.
Was there ever an indication or a statement made to you by either one of them concerning the strong smell in the house?
No.
No. Thank you. No further questions.
Reader,
No further questions from the state, Your Honor.
do the ladies and gentlemen of the jury have any questions for this witness? Okay, seeing no response, sir, you're excused. Thank you very much for your testimony here today.
Thank you.
Your Honor, the state's next witness is Sergeant Forrest Shields.
So they end up getting this witness in on day 1, part 2. And we could pick that up in the morning. Let me see how long that video is. I'm not sure how long it is, but we'll get into it. We'll do some in the morning. Tuesday there's no court, so it's quite possible we could end up getting caught up. Tomorrow's day 4. So I don't know. We're going to do the best we can to keep up, but if you're already watching it and you're going to be watching day 4 tomorrow, do what you got to do. We're going to be behind, and just, kind of keeping up. Anyway, I'm going to let you guys go. It's definitely very heavy, and I'm just, we're just getting into it. If you hadn't heard of this case before, this should have given you at least an overview of what's really going on here and what this woman is on trial for. And the way they're spinning it, apparently the defense is doing the son did it defense. according to the prosecution, I guess they feel like Devyn did it. Maybe they both did it. Who knows? But if the son is coming to testify, which he is, and he did, I would imagine he's got some sort of limited immunity for his testimony. And that they feel that there's some evidence to prove that she did this. Now, you know what I'm saying? I guess we just have to listen and learn, listen and hear what the evidence is going to be. So, anyway, you guys have a wonderful evening. I will talk to you guys later. This is interesting. I know a lot of you guys are watching this, so you guys comment down below. Let me know what you think. It is pretty gruesome. I feel so sorry for the jury who had to look at those pictures. I swear to God, I wouldn't have wanted to see it because you can't unsee that. And it's like, I mean, we all remember, what was it? The Headless Horseman. You know what I mean? But that guy had on like a suit and was riding a horse, and it was Halloween and all of those things. I just cannot imagine. Well, I can imagine, but I would never want to see it in real life. Absolutely horrific. So I feel sorry for the jury who had to even just see pictures of that. Ugh. Anyway, let me see. I've got to go back. I wanted to watch this one. What time are you? I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure. Because maybe 10ish. Let's say 10ish. Because we're free. We're finished with Latasha now. You guys know or may not know, I go live on Love Lies and Lace Fronts first thing in the morning, so I don't want to interfere with that. So maybe 10ish. We can do some more catch up. I just, I'm feeling like I must go in small doses, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I just tomorrow I could be like, y'all, I'm up for it. I just right now I'm taking baby steps. So let's just say 10ish. Make sure to have your notifications set so that when I go live, you will be immediately notified. But we'll finish day one tomorrow morning, and then we'll see what the rest of the day brings forth. Okay. All right, you guys have a wonderful evening, and I'll see you guys tomorrow in the 10 a.m. East Coast time hour. So if you guys are early birds on the West Coast, we'll see you early 7ish on the West Coast, 10 a.m. And I'll set the live up in the morning. Okay. All right. You guys have a wonderful evening. Take care. Happy Sunday. See you later. Bye.